Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live. If you haven't seen us before, we do this every Monday, 6 p.m, covering all club fitting, new product, testing, and a bit of golf coaching as well. You had a good week? Tell us, let us know. How's it been for you?
Busy. Yeah, this is it's full ball. Yeah, this time of year, February, March are mad. It's been really good. Getting to learn the products as they come in and seeing different player styles hit them. That's always really interesting. Seeing how particular products and deliveries kind of sometimes don't do what you're expecting them to do. So it's really fascinating time actually. Yeah.
I had a really interesting conversation with one of my clients today, Mike. He's got a fitting with you this week on Friday. He's done a stack of swing work. He is absolutely flying. He has a small concern that if he comes down, what happens if he's not flushing it the way he is over the last few sessions? I said to him, as long as he shows 2 or 3 swings, that's going to be enough. Is that correct?
Yeah. Sometimes if someone's absolutely flushing it, it's not the best time because you don't see the kind of the light and shade element to it. So you do want to see someone's flaws as much as you want to see them swinging it well. You don't want someone to come in where they've got no confidence and they're absolutely game stinking. But equally speaking, if someone's absolutely on, it can give a slightly false indication of where the game's at. And so seeing a bit of kind of good and bad, or kind of a player's flaws coming out is actually a really useful thing.
And I'm sure it's a worry that a lot of guys and girls out there have going into a fitting, particularly if it's a premium product that they want to try out, or they've been long awaited to their fitting time, and it's almost like a bit of a nervous moment of playing a big club comp. They want to get there, have the game in half decent shape. As I said to him, you're just not going to stand there and flush it from start to finish. There's going to be goods and bad stuff, but as you say, it's nice to have the light and shade. Yeah,
and actually, there is no best time to do it. But equally speaking, we can see when it's the swing and when it's the club, and actually, your action doesn't vary anywhere near as much as you think. Your timing and synchronization might be a bit stronger one day to the next, but your patterns will be the same, unless you've literally had no sleep, got out of bed the wrong side, stubbed your toe. You're still your musculature is still doing the same thing. So actually, the way you and the club interact is the same. Just if you're more confident, maybe there's a little bit more intensity on the swing, and if your game's off, you might be a little bit quieter on it. And you can fit for the stronger swing or the weaker swing, depending on how you want to do it. So and what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, not a problem.
Thomas Dietrich won in Arizona. Nice win, strong player, player. Really game built for the PGA Tour. I'm surprised. Saw Matt Wallace on the green. Obviously, he won ironically down at not Casa de Campo, but it was in the Dominican Republic at Corrales. Matt Wallace won. Obviously, 2 big players, big games. I'm surprised Matt hasn't done more, but I can see a really big career for Dietrich out in the US.
Yeah, and I think Dietrich's been. It was one of these. He's going to go a win, and he could just take off because he's been up there. Kind of Saturday, Sunday, but the Sunday his game's it's not fallen apart, but he's just not whole putts. He's not kept scores going. And then yesterday he just basically went, see ya, birdie the last 4, thanks very much, and kind of showed maybe what the potential always was, and hopefully that springboards some confidence and he kicks on. But Matt Wallace went through that purple patch in the lead up to the Paris Ryder Cup.
Absolutely.
And actually thought he'd done enough to get selected. And I mean, you know better than I do whether he's worked on something and that's maybe just taken time to come back in, confidence ebbs and flows. But yeah, he's got big game play in them.
Ollie Snyder-Jams won out in India and the Asian Tour. You were just saying off air.
Asia,
I remember playing a practice round with him at the Open qualifying at Sunningdale. Nick, I was working with Nick Doherty, and we played a practice round with him. He had a lot of game, so strong.
It was a US Amateur win.
US Amateur. He was Amateur World #1. Got on the PGA Tour and seemed to just not really get started. And it's amazing, I think, with the new inception of this Amateur World #1, now gets a full ranking on the PGA Tour. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. They're big fish inarguably a small pond, being amateur world #1. You know, they're starting to mix with tour players. Be interesting to see the conversion rate of amateurs going from the amateur game to then kicking on, rather than previously the Justin Roses of this world that had to go out and earn his card and go through that process. He wouldn't have had to necessarily feel like he had to do that, back in the day.
It feels like they're so much better prepared for pro life now. You look at Nick Dunlap, who won as an amateur, and
then backed it up the same year as when he was pro.
Yeah, and it's like you see so many more of the amateurs coming through, and just they're not phased.
No.
Whereas I think it was such a big deal. It was a bigger step up. I think the amateurs are pros now at the top level. But as another brief mention, Cara Gaynor, friend of ours here, who got her first win.
Yes.
Great win in Morocco.
Yeah,
really pleased with her.
Castle Royal golfer, Nick Scratton, one of our fitters here, knows her well. Brilliant.
Lovely girl as well.
As usual, we've got our discs here. James is behind with the cameras on the edit, so get those questions over to us. We will.
Congrats to James on his Laser Quest win at the weekend as well.
Oh yes,
30 children.
I saw that.
Epic.
Took down the children. Yeah, brilliant. Nice, solid play there.
Sensible. Hid in the corner, shot them as they ran past.
Yeah. Matthew Priestley, happy Monday all. Thank you, Matthew. Happy Monday to you too. Quick build question. Assuming standard 6-iron cut length of 37.5 before grip, what should I cut the T150 gap wedge and Vokey 52, 56 and 62? Thanks a million.
So some brands do it differently in terms of length progression. So we would, as a default, be from 9-iron to pitch wedge, 1/4 inch, then 1/4 to gap wedge, and the kind of standard progression is 1/4 inch from there. You can flat line lengths with some of the wedges. The Vokeys kick up in weight when you go from 52 to 54. It goes up about 8 to 10 grams. And then 54 and 56 are the same, and then 58 and 60 go up another couple of grams. So you generally have to shorten, keep that progression going through into the highest loft with the Vokeys. So I would go 1/4 inch from 9-iron all the way down.
Very good. I'm going to bring this table a bit closer so I don't have to carry them both, and I can read.
Sort of go gadget arm for those of a certain generation.
Exactly. Simon Langford asks, evening both. Looking forward to your thoughts on the ZXi Strixon range. How would you combo them? Are you able to both test them? Thanks very much.
Yeah, I can get those. Good heads. You can with those. The 7s and the 5s you can combo. Was it just the 7 and the 5s or the general? The 4 blends a little bit more as well, but generally you're probably going to go either a set of the 4, or the 5 and the 7 probably blend the best between the two. But you can split those wherever you want to. I generally would either be between the 8 and the 7, 7 and 6, 6 and 5. Those are the 3 places, depending what your longest iron is. But you will just have to look at lofts and make sure the distances blend, but I will get those 2 heads.
Lovely. I will head over to my channel. Simon Muggleton asks, if at impact your dynamic loft is down, example, delivering 5-iron loft when using a 7-iron, would that affect the carry distance rather than going further than the 7-iron should? Hope that makes sense. Yeah, again, depends on club speed, because club speed is going to affect whether you can get away with having less dynamic loft with a more lofted iron, and also your spin rate as well. So there are a couple of ingredients there that you might want to look at. If you're working on TrackMan, there is a efficiency optimizer button. Click that and it will tell you if you're outside of the window of optimization. But delivery of dynamic loft, obviously with your spin rate and club head speed, will effectively tell you whether you're going to be optimizing or losing distance with that. Doug, huge congratulations to Thomas Dietrich. Incredible performance, absolutely. Big thanks to Stu for the shorts coming out at the moment. Can't wait to start trying them out soon. For your information back on the course, Doug had a hip replacement, I think, from memory. Yeah, I've been.
Is that Doug Elio? Is that his?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah. Well done.
Came to our
Christmas
live. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've just been.
He asks very good questions on YouTube.
He does ask very informed. Very informed. I on Monday I now do all my content, and on Fridays, but on the Monday morning I now film all of my shorts and schedule them so that they all come out at 5 o'clock. So it's like I can just.
Does Laura mind them all laid out in the bed?
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Here
all week. Here all week.
You get bad jokes every Monday evening.
It's all good. It's all good. They're prepared for it now. They're prepared for it. They don't mind.
So we've got the ZX5 and ZX7. We're going to hit both of those. So the 7 is, well, do you want me to go first, or would you like
to? You swipe away. Swipe away.
So these ones actually for Stuart as a head may not be great because they're lower spin. So for your flight, they're going to come out like an extra set.
Oh, great. So. Good news on that one then.
I've got your shaft in these though.
Oh, well, that's nice of you.
Very kindly.
I'm not here next week. I've not broken it to the boys yet, but I'm not here next year. I'm
swanning off.
I'm holidaying. Sorry, I'm working in Portugal next week.
That means Nick, who's in the bay next door, we might have to call.
Yeah. Nick's being drafted.
Well, yeah.
You no glove tonight?
Couldn't be bothered for these couple of swings.
Got it. Okay, that's right.
So.
Bit high off the face.
Bit high on the face. Yeah, you can hear that in the contact. Shaft's a bit heavy for me. I've got to man up a bit. So a little high on the face. So spins a bit low. Let me see if I can squeeze that a little bit more.
Where I was going with that is this will be nice, warm. This could be the start of my practice for the week because young Christos, I'm going there with. My goodness, that boy's swinging it so well. Could be battered all week.
That's just what happens when you play a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Three down, straight path.
So 3 down, straight path, but so a little high on the face. But what I'd expect from this head is it's quite a solid feel, but the Strixon heads do keep that spin down that little bit. So for just under 4,600 for me is a bit low, but it's what I'd expect from that head. I think they've done a good job with this model. The weight goes up the back of the middle of the face a little bit more, so there's a bit more guts to the contact. Always been well designed. I think they're a little bit of a softer feel this year.
Right, that wasn't my best move.
So similar launch to me, and bear in mind that one's gone right. A couple of 100 revs less spin.
Interesting.
So for Stuart, who's a low spin player, this would be one of the last heads I'd take. That
was a little bit better.
Yeah, 3.7 on spin.
Yeah.
So you're in a T100 to keep spin on it.
Yeah.
So launch angle's fine, but it's spinning like a 4-iron for you.
Yeah. That's not good, is it? Can I just hit one more of those?
Yeah, of course, yeah. But really, solid, well-designed head, and great if you're someone who gets a bit steep on it and spins it a little bit more. These heads are really good at naturally bringing the flight down a touch. You can keep a bit of loft on, but keep spin down. So really good from that point of view.
Yeah.
And then we go to the 5, which has a little bit more weight low on the face, a little bit more perimeter weighting, a bit more forgiveness.
Yeah, she's not spinning much, that is she?
No.
That's not my bag.
So that's the 5. This will be 1 degree stronger on loft. So in theory, you should see a hair more launch, but no more spin out of this.
Same shaft,
but a bit more forgiving. Same shaft, a little bit more forgiving.
Oh, I much prefer that.
There's a bit more snap off the face. So yeah, 16 launch, so half a degree more launch, but spin just as low.
I can't stop slicing it, Simon. Can't stop slicing it.
Well, it's a gentle fade.
Well, that's a slice. That's a slice.
I reckon there are a few people watching who would say that definitely isn't a slice. But. So yeah, 15.7 launch. There's a little bit more launch out of it. What's quite good with these two heads is they're very consistent on spin across the models. So that's why you can blend them pretty well. But the ZXi5's got a little bit more punch off the face, which is where the lofts, where you do the split, the lofts need that little bit of attention. Got that slightly better. So for me, that's just popped up a little bit more. So again, I was 15.7 on launch, 4.3 on spin, 16.7 launch, 4.2 on spin. So it's up a little quicker. Maybe spins a hair lower, but it's pretty similar between the two models, and just forgiveness gain and a bit more ball speed off the face due to the faster face.
They make me slice the golf ball. Don't like those. That's me, not the club. The left rough is standard Project X 5.5 iron shaft, redundant. Don't see it in many fitting carts anymore. Is there any similar shafts? Are Project X higher balance point?
Projects are not higher balance point. They're pretty mid to maybe slightly lower mid. 5.5 is still a very, very relevant shaft. Actually just fitted into a chap, a local pro, into his clubs where he wasn't a 6-0 and just wanted something slightly less heavy. It still absolutely has a relevance. It's just, I think where there are other shafts in fitting carts, the projects you generally see in the stiffer flexes because it's a structurally very strong shaft. So they're going to that in the 6 and the 6.5. And then in where the 5.5 would sit, they might go into a Modus 120. It doesn't mean that the 5.5 project is not relevant. It's just that just because the brands choose to save a bit of money and not carry it, doesn't mean it's not worth having. So for some players, it's still absolutely the best shaft.
Gary Satterfield, hi guys. Just by any chance, if I get fired watching your show during work, can I get a job there sweeping or cleaning up all the slow gin bottles around? Yeah. Thanks. You're welcome anytime. Anytime. Anytime.
Good winter drink, slow gin.
Jeff Berger, is there one top reason for poor, inconsistent low point control with irons? Yes, leg action would be probably the worst reason why you wouldn't be able to control your low point, in my opinion. Golf Nerd 3, hi Simon, do you think Ventus is overfitted? And is it de-skilling fitters? Good question.
So is it overfitted? Highly likely. I think reason for saying that, I think it's such a recognisable shaft that pretty much every brand carries it as an upcharge option. The proper one, that is. Some use a kind of a watered down version as a stock option. But it doesn't have the Velocor in, so it's not really a Ventus. But it's so well used on tour and everyone knows it. It's such a big name that actually it's, I would argue it can be a lazy fit because it's just, oh, well, someone knows that and it's not cheap. Oh, look, we can make some money out of that, rather than actually really properly testing. Is it making, fitting? Is it de-skilling fitters? It's not de-skilling fitters. It's unskilled fitters who don't think, is it the right thing? So they're two different things. So you can't necessarily de-skill a fitter. A skilled fitter will fit you in the right product and understand your game. An unskilled fitter will just be lazy and go, oh, well, it's either a stock shaft or let's whack them in that one because they know what it is. So.
Good answer.
It's still a great shaft though. But
Jerry Mark, Martin Williams says, hi, could you please hit the G440 3-wood and the 4-wood? Would love to see the difference in height, spin and distance. Jerry Markham says, Thomas Dietrich, great win by 7 shots. First 3 PJ events won by Europeans. Yeah, it's a good showing. And it really just shows the strength of golf in Europe, of course. Ray Eccleston, Simon, any thoughts on wedge-specific shafts like Aerotech Special Reserve? Stuart, seeing various views on grip strength, where do you stand? Oh, well, if you've looked at my YouTube channel, I am all about the grip, and if you look at my grip series, you will get a very clear idea where I sit. It'd be much easier for you to just head over there and just talk about or watch a lot of my content on the grip because it's hugely influential on your golf.
And the other question was about, what was the other part of it?
The other question...
I had an answer in my head and then I was listening to yours and I completely forgot.
Sorry. Any thoughts on the wedge-specific
wedge-specific shafts?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the main thing with wedge-specific shafts is most of them are designed as a little bit of a softer feel because getting a bit more responsiveness. And in theory, they'll go higher kick point to keep launch down and softer tip to get spin. Now, in reality, does it do much? No. But because you can't alter the bend that much to massively really noticeably change the flight. Actually, your technique and the timing of the strike, i.e. the weight and the balance, how it works for you, dictates how good your launch and spin is. But they're a good way of getting a slightly softer feeling, slightly more responsive shaft into wedges. And at least if they've been designed with the wedge shots in mind, there could be, you might see a very, very marginal gain from it, but mainly from a feel point of view.
Very good indeed. The Yorkshire Blade, hi Stuart, cheeky fade, nice. Yeah, it felt like I was slicing it, to be fair. So hi Simon, have you got the S3 yet? If so, yeah. Can you hit it against the P7CB, please? And comment. Don't just hit it, comment as well.
I shall. Back on the steel fibre specific wedge shaft, that probably has more merit, although the bounce point's more on the tip because the steel fibres are quite a stiff, dead feel. So in wedges, they can feel a bit lifeless. So the specific wedge shafts relative to that iron shaft probably has more of a place than in a lot of the models.
Very good, very good, very good.
Right, so 3 wood.
3 wood off the deck.
3 wood and then 4 wood.
Yeah. Don't forget you got a comment.
That was on the irons.
I was in the irons.
No, I will.
You comment on this.
Been having some really good results with these. They're definitely not as high spin as the 430.
What about the drop
Little
kick?
chunky. Yeah, I mean, they mask that really well.
Do they?
Apart from the sound of the big ball before small ball. Actually, they're slightly heavier heads than they were. We're getting some extra weights in to be able to manage swing weight a little breeze, but they definitely up the head weight on the fairway ones. That was why I chunked it.
It's good to have a couple of excuses.
Yeah, get your retaliation in first. Yeah.
Get your excuses in.
So pretty solid. It still picks the ball up pretty well. But that one, yeah, pretty darn low spin. I'm going to do one more. You're still seeing decent launch out of it. Right, if I can find the face. Not swinging it great today, but you know, fairly kind of mid to strongish flight. The launch was better on the other one, but we'll see. I was 13 odd launch on the previous swing, but you will see.
Before you take that off, can I just have a hit with that? Please?
Certainly. Swing weight's fairly heavy.
Is it?
Just in case you fat it. Just so you know it wasn't you.
I'm just seeing if I've still got my slices involved. That's all. That's a nice looking head. That.
Yeah, sits really well. You see, it wasn't just it's a tough club. I've clearly gone to something that's a slightly quirky setup from a balance point of view.
Goodness. Oh my goodness, what was that? I can see people unsubscribing from my coaching channel as we speak.
You're going to be, yeah. So this is where 430 it was an upper mid launch mid spin. So we using the 430s used the Callaway, the AI Smoke Max to launch it but keep spin down, and the 430 Max to launch it and keep some spin on.
God,
This
I don't
one,
like that. That feels weird.
yeah, it's a bit of a funky balance.
Yeah, yeah.
Bit more tip-ended. The 440,
Can't stop topping it.
the ping's noticeably lower spin than it was
Really?
last time. So they got the centre of gravity a little bit lower and got it spinning down. It still launches fairly well, but it's a much, much stronger flight than it was last time.
I hit it 99 yards, 266 and 128. I don't think that's the club for me, that.
No.
No, it's not.
No. the head might not be too bad in a different shaft.
Yeah, what was funky about that?
Balance is a little more down the bottom.
Is it?
Bit more than, and with the head weights as they are, it just accentuates it a little bit. So for you, it gets kind of into there and then come out of it. Yeah. Right, so
Sorry
forward.
about that, everyone.
So we've got the forward here. So I was about 13.5 launch, but it was mid twos on spin for me than the half decent one.
Oh, that was ripped.
So much higher flight.
That was ripped.
15 launch, 3,500 revs on spin. So for me with this head, and I use quite a low spin fairway wood head. I've got the Paradigm Triple Diamond. This is I mean, if I was looking for a real kind of up and out, that wouldn't be a bad head to use for me. So you see, pick the launch up by 1.5 degrees. Yeah, 1.75 degrees. So the couple of degrees, I've got 1.5 degrees odd of extra launch. But it went up about 800 revs in spin. Whereas you, being a low spin player, are still. I mean, that one's got you to a 3-wood spin, but you're still there.
That's ski.
Yeah.
Right, enough of that topping and thinning business.
Let me get those iron heads. It's the
yeah.
P7CB and the S3.
Sorry about that, everyone. If you're having your dinner, sorry, they'd probably feel a little nauseous after watching me hit shots like that. Noel, 1988, evening gents, 2 questions. It's a bit greedy, Noel. What are some nice, easy sub-70 hybrid shafts that aren't hard work? Did you hear that, Simon?
Sub-70 iron shafts?
Yes, sub-70 hybrid shafts.
Oh, hybrid shafts. So hopefully everyone can still hear me whilst I'm looking for one of the club heads. You've got, sub-70 going. So Graphite Design do the Tour AD HY65. VA Composites do the Drago 65 hybrid shaft. That's a little higher balance. Acro have got the They use actually their iron shafts. The IS6 is really good for that. And let me see, let me think through in terms of those weights. The Badass are a little heavier. The GX100 series is down at 62 grams. That's good, that gets it up. That's an Acra shaft, that gets it launched pretty easily. Think through the different models and brands.
You've given him a few there.
I've got a few.
You've given him a few.
Yeah, the Isawa Gold do, GLD do some lighter ones as well. They're down at 55, 60 grams as well. Swing a little more head heavy though.
Yeah.
It's got to check for the TaylorMade head.
Stu, just wondering what can happen if someone has both hands strong? It's a myriad of issues. Super inside out, invariably, no angle of attack, strike it low on the club face and can even be caught shanking it on very good occasions. That would be the top three.
Breaking news, Tiger's pulled out of the Genesis.
Has he really? Now there's a surprise. Nathan's fishing like that. What's your thoughts on the DS Adapter versus DS Adapt Max irons?
I've not done a huge amount of testing with them yet. So, you know, the Max are that little bit more forgiving. Feel-wise, they're not going to be great, but they are going to be pretty forgiving. A little bit clunkier feel for those who like a softer feel to them. But the DS Adapt are going to be that bit stronger. So just come out a little bit flatter, a little less spin. But the Cobra irons, whether it was the Aerojet, the Dark Speed, they are absolute missiles. They've got very little loft and they go a very long way, but they're designed just to go forwards.
I may have put us in a bit of a tight spot now because I have answered quite a few questions on my chat channel. And there is an obscene amount of questions on our channel. Right?
Let me these two. So Mizuno S3 head first, which is very, very pretty head. Slightly satiny kind of look. Very, very classic. There's no real tech, and this is a progression of weighting. And for someone who's a real traditionalist, very nice, soft, kind of quietened down feel, mid-launch, mid-spin. Actually gets reasonable ball speed. It's not hot or anything, but it comes off the face nicely. Lots of feel to it. And as long as you don't want a forgiving long iron, if you do want a bit of performance in the longer irons, you are going to have to blend to a different model. That could be fairly tough to get a head that you like the look of matching into it. You might be able to go into something like the 925 forged head.
I'm buzzing off the purple-black combo tonight, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I like that. We do this every Monday, by the way, 6 p.m. Golf coaching, club fitting. James supplies the edit.
P7CB. So nice head, bit of weight at the bottom, so a little bit more weight down the bottom of the head than the Mizuno. TaylorMade, I think their forgings have been underrated. I think they've done good forgings over the years. I played some TaylorMade blades years back, the rack TPs.
Yeah.
Lovely heads. But they've gone back to slightly softer feel off of them.
I had a set of forged as well. They were really nice. I can't remember which heads they were.
So definitely with this, I can feel the weights lower down in it. So it's actually, I launched the Mizuno a little bit higher. This one felt to me a bit less solid, but because the weight sits at the bottom, it gives you a little bit more margin of error. It's usually quite a strong fly. So in terms of feel off the face, it's a marginal call, but this one, weight sits a bit lower, just going to may help feel like it launches a little bit more. In theory, it should do. The S3, the weight sits a little higher up, it's a bit more on the back of the ball. Yeah.
Oh, we've got some questions.
Right.
Knuckle down, everyone. Let's get to it, baby.
John in an espresso.
John Puckett. What are the main profile differences between the KBS Tour V shaft and the dollar taper shaft? Balance point. Where's the rigidity at, etc.? Thank you. I love the show. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. So the Tour V, design of the Tour V was to be the same flight as the KBS Tour, but lighter weight, so 10 grams lighter. So they stiffened the tip up to keep the spin down and to try and match the KBS Tour. So the Tour V is very stable in the tip section, but a little softer in the mid to upper section, and balance actually sits a little bit upper mid in it. The dollar taper is nearly the same balance point, but the rigidity is more in the mid to upper section to it. So it's in theory a lower launching shaft because it's a little stronger through that midsection and keeps the flight down touch more. Feel-wise, the Tour V probably feels slightly tighter because of that tip stiffness, but both good shafts, so you want to keep the balance up the shaft.
John Burton asks, what would be a good choice of irons for a senior with a swing speed of 66 miles an hour with a 7-iron? I need height.
Mizuno JPX 925 HL. If you're looking for height, those heads relative to forgiveness and ball speed get that ball up in the air so well. We do tons of those for the moderate speed player who needs height. So
and he rarely gives specifics, so go try that out.
Yeah, they've been unmatched for a number of years, for a couple of series now.
Jerry Markham, what would be the nearest equivalent in graphite to KB Tour 90 steel?
So balance points upper mid. So you don't want to go too tip heavy. Steel fiber 95 from a weight feel point of view, it's going to be a harder feel. I mean, the TGI KBS is in the 90s. Again, any graphite, you're going to get a harder feel than you will the steel because there's more material. So one of those are probably the closest, I would say.
Very good. Eric Wallace. Hey guys, I miss you guys having that friendly competition. At the end of the stream, any chance you guys do a best to pin using a 7 or 9 wood only? Should be entertaining, right? We can do that for you. Of course we can. Yeah. Andy B, great show as always, gents.
Difficult because you're going to hit it much further than I do because you make it into a 5 wood and I'll turn it into a 9 wood.
Great show as always, gents. What profile of player would fit the new Ventus White?
So somebody who's looking for kind of lighter weight, it's just under 50 grams. It's designed to be more of a mid-spin shaft. So it's still got some stability in the tip. So somebody who wants to feel a bit of guts at impact. We don't have the demos yet. Then they haven't been fully released yet. They're in the pre-order stage. Obviously we hit and tested them a couple of weeks back in Florida, but we probably won't get them until March, I would think. But ultimately it's a weight thing. If you want to get the dead weight in a Ventus down under 50 grams, that is the only option for you.
Much prefer it there. I can look at the camera and answer the questions instead of having my head down. That's why I've changed, just in case you wanted to know. Anyway, Dave Hammond, hi gents, not playing much due to the weather. Any recommendations for home swing tips? Well, this is a scoop. Every day, 5 p.m, I do a swing tip short on my YouTube channel, so go check out my channel.
Don't swing a driver under a chandelier.
Top tip, top tip. Kevin Scutt, don't say that too fast. When choosing a ball to play, e.g. a Titleist that offer one for low flight, another for high flight, do I match it to my typical flight or do I choose one to offset it, i.e. low with low or high with low?
So
good question.
The amount of differential, just to put it into context, between, take Titleist because that's the most played brand, on spin between Pro V1, Pro V1 X, and then Pro V1 and left dash is about 300 to 400 revs between the left dash and the Pro V1 and the Pro V1 and the Pro V1 X. So about 700 top to bottom, 600 to 800 top to bottom. Launch angle wise, you're looking at about half a degree. So it's not that one's going to come out there, one's going to come out up there, but it can fine tune performance. If you have a low flight and you want to see a bit more flight, play the higher spinning ball. If you have a high flight and you want to take the flight down, play the low spin ball. If you have a low flight and you want it even lower, play the low spin ball. That's kind of the way to do it. So you want to, wherever your flight is, and based on what ball you're using. So if you're a low flight, play a Pro V1 and want more flight, switch to the X. That kind of.
Like it.
Yeah.
No,
is that clear as
you
mud?
had me at low flight. There is 120 of you online to share our stream with a friend. Know that we're here every Monday, 6 p.m, taking all of your questions. And why not give it a like while you're here? We've only got a couple of likes at the moment, so hit that like button. Mike T, hi Simon. Thoughts on the new Ventus White? Have you tested it yet?
The only time I've tested it was in Florida at the trade show. So it's not the kind of test like we do here. We've got the numbers and can compare it against something else because it's just Fujikura on the range at Shingle Creek with just their range. However, for a shaft at that weight, it does feel quite solid, but it's a bit more tip balanced than some of the shafts that you've hit.
Chris Champion, question about correlation between 6-iron and driver swing speed. Is there an optimal gap between the two? Average 6-iron speed is 90 miles an hour. Driver range 106. That's a pretty good gap.
Yeah, I'd say, and that's kind of where I sit. I'm 90, and then if haven't played a lot, I'm 106-ish, and if I've played a lot, I'm 108, 109. Yeah. So broadly speaking, you'd say it's about a 15% uplift. That's sort of where, when we've looked at it, broadly speaking, it's going to be that. Some players just move irons really efficiently and aren't as efficient with driver, and it's less, and some it's the other way around, and you get more of a gap. But that ballpark would be where we'd sort of roughly tend to look at it.
Will.M, why are draw players so underserved? Even the core models are not neutral flight, low spinning and towing. The world's been made of slicers and whipping it open, so the whole manufacturing has gone low spin.
I mean, having said that, so I think the bit that's underserved is higher flight and not draw biased. So actually there are an awful lot of low spin, tour style, neutral to fade bias heads. There are plenty, pretty much every brand does it. What you don't get is, if you need flight and need a bit of spin and want fade bias, that's where it's hard to find one.
Good stuff.
It's a bit like in irons where you want forgiving and high flight. It just doesn't exist.
Cracking name, Don Keek. Hi guys, loving all the information. Glad you do, Don Keek. I am looking for a fairway wood which would fill the gap between my driver, 260 to 250 yards. Nice numbers. And my 7 woods at 200 yards. Would it be a strong 5 wood or a 4 wood, 3 wood high launch?
Definitely, maybe. So
sitting on the fence there.
Again, it is one of those. It depends on the head and what job you want it to do. If you want it to be a total distance, kind of lower spin run out, then you're going to err towards the 3HL forward. I mean, in terms of, you're probably, if you want consistency and playability, then more towards the 4 to 5 wood. If you're 7 woods at 200. Depending on where your launch and spin is, and those are bits that I have to give the caveat of, because I just don't know where your flight is. If you want something that's carry-based and gives you some control at lands, err on the higher side on the loft. And if you want something that's going to have a lower piercing flight, then you can drop a degree and a half or so. But you want to make sure the spin stays in the 3000s or around the 3000 mark for a kind of a little bit more run out. Low 3000s, and you've got consistency of flight. If it drops below that, you might lose carry.
Cracking question from Gary Satterfield. Do you guys in any way change your swing going from hitting from a mat to hitting on the golf course? Thanks. I absolutely dig at it a bit more on the golf course, trying to pinch the wedges a bit more. So I'm always trying to make sure they get enough swing down at the bottom of the ball. That's me personally. Do you do anything?
So other than a specific wedge shot, I don't do a lot of wedge shots in here, but other than a specific wedge shot, I wouldn't change it. You might probably find you subconsciously change a little bit. You know, depending on how the ball's sat, you're going to go down to get it a bit more if it's sat down. But I wouldn't consciously change it. It's more I'm playing a shot based on the scenario, not I'm on a mat, I'm going to hit it this way, or I'm on turf, I'm going to hit it this way.
Very good.
Might not do it very well though, but
goodness, we've got a lot of questions. We've got to get through them as well. Norwegian Warhound, curious on what you would suggest as a modern day equivalent to a Ping eye blade. Best wishes, guys.
Ping eye blade. I would say that P7 CB isn't a million miles off. If you want lower spin, the ZXi7 is a good option because you've got a little bit of that perimeter weighting down the bottom, but you haven't got a face tech to it. I think those two are really quite solid options for that.
Stephen Duncan, hi chaps, getting back into golf after 10 years out of the game. Well, welcome back, Stephen. Looking to buy second-hand clubs. What would you recommend regards choosing a shaft opinion? Keep up the good work.
So if you're just getting back into it, the problem is your swing could be developing and gaining kind of confidence and speeding. So if you haven't got someone there to guide you on what to use, get a variety of weights, 55, 65, 75, and swing them and see which one allows you to stay as balanced as possible in your frame. If you can stay balanced with it, then that's allowing you to control the club and the swing, and therefore you're likely to get the most consistency out of it. But obviously, if you can get to someone to advise you on it, great. But if not, the more kind of within your framework, within more stable you can stay and move the club at speed, the better that weight is for you.
Lisa Cook, hi, great show. Thank you, Lisa. How do you compare to the Scottsdale fitting? How do they manage to build clubs out the same day? Do they have less options? Right.
Also, the answer is if they're building it same day, either they have and they do hold quite a lot of stock. I do know that. However, you have to, if you're going to put someone into a product that you can get out the same day, you have to limit your options. There's no two ways about it. You can't have enough stock of all the options and all the products there to hand. So, and this is by no means suggesting they're doing anything untoward, but you can't have every option available to be able to promise a build out that quick.
Matt B would like to know how spin on the 925 Forge compares to the ZXi i5.
Let me get the 925 forged.
Very good. Richard, hi Simon, can you compare the Titleist T150 versus the Callaway Apex CBs? I would like a set of 150S, however, I can get 50% discount at Callaway.
So T150s against Apex CBs?
That's it.
It's quite a different head.
I'm going to zip over to my channel while Simon gets those clubs. Mark Rowley, hi fellas, I have a problem, low hands at setup, high hands at impact and follow through. Crap impact on face, am I dropping my wrist angle? Desperate from Stoke. Oh, Mark, that's a lot of questions and a lot of ifs and maybes. I'd much rather you come and seek me out on Skillist and send me a video of your swing and a little swing review that's inexpensive, rather than give you a direction because it sounds like you're in a bit of a muddle. So that would be my best advice to you. Andy Moe, great show. Thank you, Andy. What part of Simon's swing would Stuart like to work on, and which of Stuart's clubs would Simon like to replace? Fit. For Simon's swing, left shoulder up, big push off the golf ball, but he's done that forever and he's scratch all better. So, you know, that's where I'd go with it. But, you know, we all run, this is the thing, we're all busy here.
When I'm not doing it much, I'm playing really well, and when I'm doing it, I'm compensating and managing it, and it'll fall off a cliff at some point.
Yeah. What club would you replace in my
bag? Probably now, I'd be tempted to look at your fairway wood. I think there might be a bit more efficiency from the fairway wood to get, just from where the CG in the head sits a little lower, collected a bit more, optimised launch and spin a bit more.
Like it. Might do that.
That hideous putter you just got. No,
no, I'm
joking.
Love the putter. I love the putter.
So I'm going to hit the 925 Forge first because we've done the Strixon. I got spin-wise, it was spin comparison. I was like 4-1 on spin with the Strixon ZXi5. So take 925 Forge, a little bit cleaner looking in the crutch end of the club head.
Got it.
I think you've done a good job with this head. Right. Very stable. It's got a little bit more loft on, so it's launched a bit higher, but we're 700 revs of spin higher. So for the degree or so that it's higher loft, you'd normally expect 300 revs, 300-400 revs. So it's got another 300 or 400 on top of that. So notably about 10% more spin than the Strixon. And I'm going to quit on that because it was a good one.
Yeah, brilliant. I think
although not as hot on ball speed. Strixon's faster. This is higher spin.
I think I've got to temper my expectations that we're going to get all these questions done. There's too many. There's too many. I want to get through them all, but there's millions of them.
Fire them at me as I'm hitting.
Okay. All right.
So CB and Apex CB and T150.
That's it. Okay. That's it. Is the new Modus 1110 an upcharge?
It won't be offered in any of the stock products because it's completely brand new. It'll basically only be through aftermarket options, and yes, it will definitely be an upcharge. So Apex CB, it's an interesting comparison, this, because they're structurally very different heads. So this CB is just a kind of slight perimeter weighted because of that badge in the back. And a classic solid feeling Forge, pretty much one piece head with a little bit of perimeter weighting. And then the T150's got a bit of a kind of scoop behind the face, faster face, designed for a bit more ball speed. So quite different heads. If
ball and equipment endorsements were banned on tour, which brand do you think would be most popular in each area of the bag?
Okay. Titleist for wedges, kind of already is. Possibly Ping with driver, just from a consistency point of view. I think irons.
I think Titleist.
I think you get an awful lot of Titleist irons being played, but there's more because they're the classic shapes and there are options to blend in with.
And probably Mizuno as well.
Mizuno would get more play.
They just don't pay anyone.
Yeah. And fairway woods. TaylorMade would be very strong in the fairways. TaylorMade would be close to the drive, but I think TaylorMade and the fairway woods might well just get it.
Gal Palank, cracking name. Why do people have some? I mean, such good names. I noticed that short irons have 4 to 5 degrees of loft gaps, whereas long irons have 2 to 3 degrees loft gaps. With most golfers struggling with gapping their long irons, wouldn't 4-degree loft gaps through the set make more sense?
And most people don't hit long irons, so it's irrelevant to most players where you get 4-degree gaps pretty much down to 5-iron. And very few players do or should play more than the 5-iron now with where lofts have got to. But you generally get a bit of a tech progression as well. So like on the T150s, that little channel behind the face, that kicks in at 7-iron. So they're graduating a bit more ball speed through the top of the set as well. Right, so T150.
That was nice.
A little bit of tungsten heel and toe, a little more forgiving.
That was nice.
But yeah, a little lower spin because it's got that construction. It's designed to bring that flight down. But actually, I've bombed it. And a bit more ball speed proportionally as well. So the flight is on a single piece head. The CG sits higher, it spins it more. And on this, the CG sits lower. The faster face takes spin off. Hence a kind of 12, 13 yard difference in flight.
Simon asks, when are Precision Golf coming on tour to Australia, when we can get sponsored? It's a long way down there. It's a long flight.
Yeah.
We're going to have to bring a lot of people down with us. James is going to need to come. He's going to need to bring everyone with him. He's going to need to bring dogs.
Matt Hart's been out there recently.
Matt, absolutely. So whenever it can get a sponsorship for it. Golf Nerd 3, how many of your clients choose Jumbo Max grips? Would it make more sense to start fitting with ideal grip versus at the end, since it can be a huge difference how someone feels and swings the club?
It's something that we're incorporating into the fitting more. So depending on the grip size that someone's got, but also hand size, we'll look at that during the fit. Jumbo Max, we're doing a few more of them. They are still quite particular, but we are seeing more players at, well, we've seen 6'8", 6'9" in the bays recently. So they just need the bigger size, and you can keep the weight down by doing so as well. So we are doing a few more of them. But they absolutely are not for everyone. A lot of players can't square the face up with them.
Tom Ashmore, evening gents. Would having incorrect iron shaft weight lead to more inconsistent strikes across the face?
Yes.
Well done. Lou Mendoza, how good, that's the kind of answer.
It's a very definite one. Yeah.
How good was the Sim Max 3 wood?
It was good, but it has now been bettered. I think of its time, very good, but now with the weight positions that are changing, better across the face, better low on the face, a few of the heads now. So it was very good, but they are definitely improved now.
How do you fit customers that tend to hit slightly down on the driver? Do pros who have angle of attack down tend to have different specs on their drivers? Absolutely.
Yeah, if you get the weight too far back, that differential of flight and angle of attack that you're getting, you tend to create more spin. So you would generally, to get the best, most efficient ball flight, I mean, that's where the mini driver's actually been quite good. The 11.5 mini driver can be very good for that kind of action, but a slightly further forward CG head, you do lose a bit of forgiveness, but you gain a lot on the spin, often gain a lot on the spin consistency, and therefore strength of flight and therefore yardage.
The left rough, would the Project X 5.5 play stiffer than the Modus 120 stiff? Yes or no?
In a different bit of the shaft. Modus is potentially stiffer in the tip, the Project X will be stiffer in the midsection.
I play Hazardous Black Gen 4 60 stiff in the driver and hate the kick out the middle of the shaft in the Modus 120. Yeah. I tend to lose it miles left.
That won't be that'll be either the balance point being off or the dead weight being a little bit light, because the Modus 120 is 114 grams, Project X 5.5 is like 118, 120. So the shaft, the bit that you're feeling is the handle end, and it is not the shaft kicking and closing the face. It'll be the way you are reacting to the mass and the balance of that shaft, not the kick.
Roger Walker asks, evening gents, I'm struggling to get my head around sternum lean at driver setup and what angle my shaft and arms should be. Watching the pros, their shaft lean arm look like they're in line. I've got a video coming out this week on driver setup. Stay tuned for that, Roger, and all of your questions will be answered, my friend. BMC 112, first trophy in the bag since the full fitting. Kuching took down Chick Frisky. He sounds, again, took down, no, it's the name of the club comp. took down the Chick
sounds like something you
Frisky
get at a takeaway.
Invitational. Outstanding stuff, if he does say so himself. Brilliant.
Very impressed.
BMC 112. Well done.
Obviously, we'll take the credit for that.
Yeah, of course.
Assuming it was here.
Of course.
Anyway.
Will John, hi guys. Just changed from a Ping Tall Chrome stiff driver shaft to a Mitsubishi Raw 65X stiff white, finding it quite a big change.
Yeah, very different balance point. The Chromes, the Ping shafts tend to be mid to upper balance, or they put a counterbalance in the back. So they swing quite grip end heavy. They're very stable, but they swing grip end heavy, whereas the Tensei AD Raw is going to be much more down the bottom end. So yeah, very different linkage.
Mark Howard, thoughts on the 3-wood, 5-wood in the bag? Have both in, but rarely ever use the 3-wood. Should I add lower iron hybrid wood instead?
So you're either not using the 3-wood because you hit the 5-wood that well and it's that consistent that the risk isn't worth taking, or potentially the 3-wood could be too low in loft. If it is, then the 5-wood's going to fly just as far and be much more user-friendly. So as to do you put a hybrid or a long iron in, I really don't know. It depends on what shot type you want. If you want higher flight, go high, it might be a lofted wood, could be a hybrid. If you're wanting a low bullet, play the lower hybrid or an iron, but it's job specific. And I couldn't say for sure which one.
Are we going to see an age where nobody carries a 3-wood anymore in the same way we didn't see?
No, you'll never see that because lots of players add loft. So unless they make the clubs that low spin that you've got to go a lot of loft to get it there. But it's in the same way I use an 8-degree driver, you use an 11-degree driver. You may go to a 5-wood to get the flight, to get a 3-wood flight out of it.
That's
and
what
some players will still need that low loft to get a 3-wood flight.
Do you think, though, that we could see that transition over time with the way it's gone, with low spin, low launch?
100%. We're seeing
3-woods?
so many more 4-woods and 5-woods as the first club. But you're always going to get the high spinner who will need the 3-wood. A bit like people who've needed the 13-degree. They might move into a 15, but you'll still see the 3-wood.
Yeah, got it. Chris K, currently playing steel fibre I-95S. I'm a graphite design fanboy. Want to try the Rawn or Tor AD iron shafts. Should I stick with the similar weight flex with graphite design, or do they play firm or soft?
The Rawn A, I haven't hit yet, not properly. Saw it out in Orlando. We'll be getting those demos in fairly soon. I mean, certainly if you've used the steel fibre 95 well, stick in that weight. The Tor AD 95s will swing heavier. The balance point's more down the bottom. So it's not just a flex thing, it's where the weight sits, and the steel fibres are very neutrally weighted. So it may well be that you can't beat them.
Very good.
No matter how good the Tor AD stuff is.
Chris K, if you have the Rawn or Tor AD iron shaft, can you hit them? I play Strixon ZX7.
Yes.
Fraser Cornahan, all the questions plus golfer, swing speed with all the questions. ... Plus golfer. Oh, plus golfer. Okay. Plus golfer. Swing speed with driver of 113, up 1 degree, pretty straight. Struggle to hit very short irons and distance. Any chance? FFS. Laugh out loud. Not sure. Well, I know what
Struggle
the FFS
to get short iron distance. That's probably because you're adding loft at it.
Yeah.
If you're so a lot of players struggle at that end. If you pick it, add a bit of loft. Yeah. So the only way you're going to be doing that, because you've got plenty of speed, is either the strike's rotten, which for your plus digit golfer isn't going to be the case, or you're not getting shaftly and you're not getting a strong impact position, so you're adding loft. And once you get to kind of 8 iron, 9 iron, they'll powder puff up, and you'll start to really drop back distance, and the spin will go through the roof.
There you go. There you go. James said, James put a post up. Love that idea. Oh. Oh yeah. Yeah. Lovely idea.
So I've got the 95 of the Tor ADs. Nice looking shaft, match the shoes, always good. So you get, I've gone the stiff in this because graphite plays up to flex because there's more material. You get a little bit of kick out the middle, very stable at the bottom end. Graphite, when you get into the heavier weights, will always feel quite stout. There's a lot of material in them. So if I were to compare, I'm just going to show you the tip section on this shaft versus a steel shaft that is heavier. i.e. 120 grams, just to show you why sometimes graphite loses a bit of feel. So you've got the wall thickness, depends whether James can focus on that, on the Project X60. And then you've got the Tour AD 95 underneath. You can see the wall thickness is thicker. So if I added another 25, 30 grams to this graphite shaft to get it the same weight as the steel, there's going to be even more material. It's going to feel even more rigid. So therefore, that's why a lot of the time heavier graphites can feel quite stout and sometimes a bit dead, but really stable. Can take a bit of punishment, the heavier graphite designs, but you keep a little bit of feedback through the middle.
I can't see Paul Clanner's question on here, James.
So I would say roughly, it's to 10 to 12 yards per club. So as club speed goes up, I'd be looking at 12 or 13 yards per club, and maybe kind of 15 down the bottom, at kind of 9 to pitch, and then below that. And if you're, as in sort of, if you're kind of 85, 90 miles an hour, 7-iron, 6-iron speed plus, if you're down below that, then kind of 10 to 12 yards, kind of 12 to 15 down the bottom end as well.
Don Keek, any thoughts on the Ping 440 Max forward and the Callaway Elite 3-wood high launch?
So the 440 we hit earlier on, and they're quite low spin, but they pick it up well. The Elite feels more solid. It's got 35 grams of tungsten at the front of the head, so it's a really solid feel. They're actually pretty similar for spin. Some players will pick up the ball better with one or the other, but both very good heads, and we're going to sell a lot of both this year.
Tony, by the way, hi guys, if you do the 7-wood challenge, which it looks like we are going to, from the earlier request, can you do it with a GT2 and a QI35 in a Ventus Red, please? Great show again.
We'll do with a GT2 and a Ventus Red. I'll put that together.
Okay, put that together. Where are you seeing these extra questions from, James? Oh, there, okay. Roger Walker, evening gents, I'm struggling to get my, Jared Watson, tend to slightly pull irons left, would heavier shaft but less stiff flex help start the line more right?
Not necessarily. So it's one of these where you could be pulling it because the club is too heavy. So if it gets behind you, you've got to fetch it, you're going to close the face over. If it's too light, you can throw the whole thing over. So sometimes going lighter in the shaft and a bit of head weight helps to keep the handle in front and to leave the face more open. Sometimes heavier drops in, total weight drops it in a bit more, very player specific. So it's one of those where both options are on the table depending on how your swing and weight work together.
Very good, very good. Mark Howard, driver carries 250 roughly, 5-wood 225, 4 hybrid 210, and lowest iron is a 6. Around 190. Following on from my 3-wood, 5-wood question earlier, maybe gapping is okay, and I don't need anything.
Yeah, I mean, it depends depends what model you're playing. Your 6-iron could be 24 degrees if it's a Cobra. Yeah, sounds like the gapping's not far off at all. And ultimately, if they do the right job, then that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter what it says on the bottom. If it gets you the right ball flight and the right distance, then who cares?
We got all through all the questions.
Have we? Ah. Do I need to? We need to do a kind of find a target, don't we?
Find a little target. How far are you going to go with?
Well, I tell you. So if we aim for, we've got side total and
perfect. Leave that up.
So
side total.
Let's just say, what's a realistic total for a 7-wood? A realistic distance is going to be
200.
That's quite short. I reckon 210.
210. All right, 210 nearest the line.
So
nearest 10, long and short, east and west.
Yeah.
All right. Give the audience well after my last attempt. So this is not.
We've got the Ventus Red for Tony in there. So
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So 210. I reckon this is a smooth one. I reckon. That's gone so far left.
Oh no! Oh no! Do you want to have another go? Go on.
210, 211. Good for distance.
211.
It's just gone miles left.
76 feet left.
76 feet. So if we're doing in total feet, 76 feet left and let's say 5 feet long. So it's 81 feet.
81 feet. That's your first go.
That's going to aim a little bit right because I know I'm not going to hit that straight. Oh,
that was sweet.
Oh,
that was nutted.
211. Oh, good luck being 13. 14 feet left and 6 feet long, so 20 feet. There we go.
Yeah, good luck with that, Stuart. Well, so your first one
that's carry distance, by the way, on total.
Your first one
was about 85 feet total, and then that was 20.
Right. Okay. This feels very long. Oh, I
Longish
like that.
for a 7 wood.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
But you think that's gone miles. 220. So 60 feet left, 10 yards, so 30 feet, so that's 90 feet. So you've got to power back a little bit.
And you just got too much.
Just too powerful.
Heat. Just too much heat. Thank goodness I've got rid of my slice. That I am happy with. That I am happy with.
Spoken before you hit, that's brave. Oh, so that sclaffed it close.
Yeah, a little bit of a dug out. Go on.
212, so you're 3 yards, so 9 feet long, 18, that is 27 feet. 20 feet and 27 feet, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you've won both.
Pretty good.
Well done.
Pretty good.
Don't like it, don't like it. Any questions coming while we're doing that? If you have the same weight profile in steel v graphite iron shafts, what are the advantages of graphite?
You can get a little bit more rigidity, so relative to weight. Takes a bit of vibration down. So sometimes you get players who've got a bit of joint issues or some who need to take a bit of sting out of it, go to that. But outside of that, if everything else matches, you can lose a little bit of feel. So steel retains a little bit of feel, but the balance point tends to be more towards the tip in steel and slightly higher in graphite. But that is changing with the structures. So, yeah.
And our last question, Mark Howard, Callaway Rogue Irons. Thanks, Simon.
We don't have them anymore because we can't get them anymore. Strong hitting. They're very, very low spin, went miles. Very
fabulous. Fabulous. I mean,
I didn't think we'd get through all of that. And on time.
Yeah, I know. That's the most I think we've had watching on a live Monday night. Hopefully you are sharing what we do here. Answer all your questions, whether they are pro questions or they are complete beginners. If you've got any complete beginners that you are trying to get into the game, get them to tune in on a Monday and ask the most basic of questions, whether it be clubs or golf coaching. The studio is buzzing at the moment. We've got loads
Saturday
going on.
we had a few of the days we've got all 5 fitting bays going, and I think poor Jen answering the door doesn't know whether she's coming or going.
Yeah, we've got some great stuff coming on our YouTube channel. Got Henny, you're going to be starting up a YouTube channel as well. Loads coming your way, so do stay tuned to our channel for that. What's going on with your golf? Are you playing some coming up?
I'll try and find time to get out. I might not this weekend, sadly, but I'm going to have to try and just pretend I'm working late and do some practice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as usual, we really enjoy your participation in these Monday Night Lives. I'm not here next week. I'm sure Nick will be taking the helm with young Simon and James on the discs. As I say, really much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. From Simon and I, have a great golfing week, and we'll see you next Monday.